Hi and welcome. I'm Sarah Barguirdjian. This is a yoga class for people who haven't done yoga for a while and are feeling perhaps extra rusty and perhaps a little scattered and would like to be guided through a really simple sequence. I've just come back from 10 days or so away. I took my yoga mat with me, but I only rolled it out twice. So this is a sequence that I have been doing for the last 3 or 4 days. And I hope that you get some benefit from it and that it prompts you to get back into your perhaps more complex practice. So we're going to start lying down. I want you just to lie on your back via your knees bent and your feet on the floor. Come slowly down and draw your right knee in towards your right shoulder and stretch your left leg straight down the mat. And as you're here, squeeze that straight left leg strong and press the inner thigh slightly down towards the floor so that you feel the toe tips pointing straight up rather than leaning over to the left. Keep that parked in place and bring your right knee a little bit more to the right and down towards the outside of your right shoulder, and let your shoulders both be soft and only working as much as necessary. Separate all of your toes and release your right leg. Bring the foot to the floor. Bring your left leg up. Change the interlace of your fingers. Draw your left knee down towards your left shoulder and stretch that right leg long. So we're stretching the glutes here and working on squeezing the muscle to bone in that straight leg. Separate all of your toes and again gently guide that inner right thigh slightly down towards the floor so that you feel the right lower back kind of spreading a little bit as you kind of direct that right foot a little more over to the left. Then release the left knee, bring both feet to the floor, bend both knees and come to half happy baby on the right side. So pick up the right leg. Pick up your head as much as you need to bring your hand to the outside of your right foot. And gently draw that right knee again over to the right. You want to try and bring your right shin straight up and down here, but of course if you need to bend the knee more, feel free to do that. And you can keep your left foot on the floor and move it a little to the left, or to make things a little more challenging if you want, straighten that left leg long down the mat. And if you are straightening that long leg down the mat, again, turn the inner thigh and the whole of the inner leg down a little bit towards the floor. Let's do this on the other side. So release the right foot, bring the foot to the floor. So keep the right knee bent to begin with, then pick up the left leg. Hook your fingers around the little toe edge of the left foot. And again, all the variations that you might need to make this more accessible. You can bend the leg a bit more, but if you can show the sole of the foot to the ceiling, then do. And again, the right foot, bring it a little bit more over to the right so that the right lower back is on the floor, or lengthen your right leg long down the mat. And again, hug the muscle to bone as you turn the inner leg slightly down to the floor. So again, we want to kind of open up that lower back a little bit here and not glitch it in with the foot and the knee turning to the right. I want you to get that feeling of them turning into the left. So very subtle, nuanced movements here. Okay, that's enough of that. Release that left foot, bring both feet to the floor and roll over onto one side so that you can then come up to hands and knees. Make sure that your fingers are evenly separated. Your index fingers are pointing straight ahead. And that your feet and your knees are apart, behind your wrists. Now round your back so that you stretch the muscles that run down your spine and engage your abdominal muscles. Then lift your chin and lift your sitting bones, coming into cow pose, so that you engage the muscles on your back and lengthen a little bit the abdominal muscles. Then move your feet towards each other so that your big toes touch side by side and come into child's pose. So keep looking forwards, keep lifting your chin for the setup. Walk your hands forward a little bit more so that your arms become really straight as you bring your forehead to the floor.
If it doesn't come to the floor, just let it hang in place, or maybe if you've got a block or a blanket nearby, put them under your forehead. And then as you stay here for a couple more breaths, press your knees gently towards each other, not to each other, but towards each other. Come back up to hands and knees, and reach your right hand out to the right, and turn away from it. Turn your chest to the left, and bring the right side of your head to the floor as you bend your left elbow. And again, re-engage the inner thighs. Press your knees towards each other as you really press that right hand flat. And again, if you need to modify this, you can bend that right arm as you need. Put something under your head if you need. Come up and we'll do the other side. Place your right hand on the floor, the left hand wings out to the left at about shoulder level, and then turn away from it. Keep pressing your knees towards each other and pushing your right arm down, your right hand down into the floor so that you feel stability. Press the left hand down too. Then come up. And before you come into downward facing dog, you can feel it coming, right? Bring your knees back and come into puppy dog pose. Walk your hands forward. Separate your hands really wide apart and bring your forehead down. And when you do this, press your tailbone down towards the floor as well. Knit in the lower ribs so that your abdominal muscles stay firm. Then raise your head. Walk your hands back and towards each other a little bit here. Tuck your toes under. Now before you come into down dog proper, just pick the knees up off the floor a little bit. And then look towards your knees and push your chest towards your thighs. Again, knit in the lower ribs. And then begin to bring your legs a little straighter. Possibly completely straight, but not necessarily, because you may well still be feeling pretty tight in the backs of your legs. I know I am. I did a lot of sitting in cars as we journeyed around. I do find that my hamstrings and my calves are the first ones to feel really tight. And then from here, bend your knees and walk your hands all the way back towards your feet. Do keep your knees bent in the standing forward fold, particularly if you are feeling tight. Push your heels down, push down through the bases of all of your toes, push your fingers down. Then firm your abdominal muscles that much more to come up to standing. Bring your hands to your hips and hinge up from your hips. Good. Now, from here, make sure that you can see the screen and bring your feet together. Bring your hands onto your hips. We're going to do tree pose. Turn your right leg out and squeeze your bottom. Keep your foot on the floor or bring your foot onto your calf. Stick with this or grab the base of your shin and place it into your left thigh. Now, if you need to move to a wall and put your left hand on the wall to keep you steady, please do that. Whatever you're doing, squeeze your bottom and stand tall. Push your left foot down. Now you can keep your hand like this on your leg or bring your arms out to the side like a tightrope walker and push your hands away from each other as you keep lifting your heart and lift up through the roof of your mouth as you push down to grow roots out of your right foot, your left foot, and your right foot, pushing into your thigh. Then bring your hands onto your hips to come out of the pose. Take your foot away, turn the right knee forwards, and place your foot down. Let's do the other side. Vrikshasana. Turn the left leg out. And again, you can keep your foot on the floor. You can bring your foot onto your calf muscles, or bring your heel and your toes digging into that right inner thigh as much as you can. Again, keep the hand here if you feel like your foot is slipping, or as you press in, reach both of your arms out to the side. Soften your shoulders here and try and extend your arms that little bit more. 3, keep squeezing that left knee, particularly if the foot is off the floor. 2 and 1. And bring your hands to your hips. Take your foot away, turn the knee forward and place your foot down. Now stand wide, so bring your hands into your heart and step your feet wide. And then bring your arms out.
Turn your right foot out and bring your right foot a little bit more to the right than you normally do. Remember, we're doing quite a sort of forgiving practice here. Look at the right knee as you now bend it and come towards Warrior Two. And if this is hard for you, then you can shorten the distance between your feet. Bring that back foot a bit more forward if you need. If you find that you're not getting much stretch in the inner right thigh, then you can lengthen the stance. Soften your shoulders. And do make sure you're not leaning forwards like this, creating tension and bearing more weight in that right leg than you need to. Straighten the back leg as much as you can. Now, if you can keep the arms like this, then do. Otherwise, put them onto your hips. As you come out of the right side, turn the right foot in, turn the left foot out, and move the left foot over to the left so that it's in line with the back heel. Virabhadrasana 2 on the left side, bend your left knee. You want to have the inner thigh as long as the outer thigh in this pose. So if the knee is knocking over to the right, you can shorten the stance. Makes it more doable. Soften your shoulders and try and breathe as steadily as you can as you look over the middle finger of your left hand. Push the back foot down, make sure your shoulders are stacked over your hips. Then bring your hands onto your hips, straighten your left leg, and then parallel your feet. So you're going to need to move your feet a little bit here so that they're in line and that they're parallel. For Prasarita Paratanasana, hands on your hips, lift your chest. Inhale here, and if you need to bend your knees, do. As you exhale, fold forward. Push your feet down, bring your fingertips to the floor under your shoulders, and then lift your chin and lift your sitting bones so it feels like you're doing a back bend. Then for stage 2, look down in between your feet and walk your feet back, your hands back in between your feet. Now if you need to bend your knees here, please do. Look in between your feet. I'm still nursing a hamstring injury here, so I'm bending my knees. Please do the same thing if you're feeling too much tightness. Then from here, raise your chin, come back onto your fingertips, walk your hands forward. Then for a twist, bring your right hand flat to the floor, a little over to the left arm out to the side, and turn your belly and chest towards the right. If you want to keep that left hand down on your hip, please do. See if you can turn a little bit more as you push your feet down as equally as you can. If you're looking up, look down now, and we'll change sides. Bring your left hand down, and again, the right hand can go on your hip, or reach it out to the side and start to twist. Squeeze your legs strongly. Push the left hand down as much as you're reaching up with that right hand, if it is up. And use your abdominal muscles to turn that little bit more. Bring your right hand down. Walk your hands back so that you can now come up to standing. Bend your knees, bring your hands onto your hips, and then walk your feet together. Now from here, come back into downward facing dog. So just step one foot forward, place your hands on the floor, and step back. Now, keeping your feet apart in down dog, inhale your right leg up and back for 3-legged dog. And try and have that inner thigh lifting up towards the ceiling in the way that you did when you were lying down on the floor and you were pressing it down. Then bring your right knee towards your nose, come onto your right fingertips and step your right foot forward between your hands. Bring your back knee down. And as you stay in this pose with your fingers on the floor, get a feeling of dragging your front foot towards your back knee. Lift your chest. Then pick up your hands, reach them forwards, and bring them up overhead. And again, if this is too much, keep your hands on your hips. Lift your chest. Keep dragging that front foot without it moving towards your back foot. See if you can straighten your arms and bring your arms back a little bit more as you squeeze your bottom. And slowly look down. Bring your hands back down to their original position.
Pick up your back knee and step back to downward facing dog. So flatten your left hand and step back. Inhale the left leg up and back. Pause here for a moment as you stabilize and seal the pose. Squeeze your bottom, push your hands down. Then bring your left knee towards your nose, come onto your left fingertips and step that left foot forward. Bring your back knee down. And again, pause here as you drag the front foot back. So we're getting the left hamstrings, the back of the thigh, to engage here, to really participate in the pose. And then hands come on the hips, or as you push your back toes down into the mat, lift up your hands. A simple Anjaneyasana pose here. Squeeze your bottom, reach up with the hands, lift your heart. See if you can get a little more depth in the pose, if it's available to you. So one of the things about yoga is you're trying to keep as aware as you can of what your body is doing, to see if it could maybe nudge a little deeper into the pose, if possible. Now look down, bring your hands down. So you've got to bear in mind all your limitations. Pick up the back knee and be honest to yourself about them. Step back to downward facing dog. And from here, bring your knees down to the floor and come back into child's pose. So big toes touch, toenails on the floor. Look forwards to begin with. Walk your hands forward and bring your forehead down. Steady and lengthen your breath here for 2 or 3 more rounds of breath. Now come to sit cross-legged, Sukhasana, with your right leg in front. And please do sit on a blanket here if you're feeling too tight in your hips, your knees or your ankles. Raising your bottom up really helps with that. So move your bottom back a little bit with your hands. Then lift your arms, float them as you soften your shoulders. Press your feet down and squeeze your knees. Inhale here. And as you exhale, twist around the central axis of your body to the right. Keep your arms floating. Keep pushing your feet down. Then bring your left hand onto your right knee, your right hand onto the floor behind you, and maybe even a bit more behind you as you turn. Do relax your shoulders here. And possibly turn your head a little more to look over that right shoulder behind you. And then maybe even move that back a touch more. Keep this, float your arms, turn back to center, inhale here, and as you exhale, twist the other way. Keep your arms floating for a little bit here. Then bring your hands down so that your arms and your shoulders can help you manipulate that twist a little bit more. Turn your head and your neck. And again, pushing down with your feet and squeezing your knees will help strengthen the foundation of the pose, which might help you wring things out that little bit more. If appropriate, don't push things too far, especially as we're doing this sequence. If you haven't been doing yoga for a little while, hopefully this is just going to feel good. You don't want to feel like you need to increase your practice right now. Float your arms and turn back to center. Now, bring your hands behind you so that you can change the cross of your legs. I'm going to do a very simple side bend. So bring your left hand down, fingers pointing in that direction. And as you press it down, lift your heart and lift up through the roof of your mouth. Then bring your right hand up to vertical. Bend the left elbow and lean over to the side. Now we're not going to finish here. I'm going to give you an option to bend this top elbow and bring your hand around so that your fingertips touch the tip of your left ear. And then you can let as much of the weight of your head rest in your arms, rest in your hand,
so that you increase the side bend. Squeeze your knees, push your feet down. If you feel like your head is moving forward, move your throat back a little bit here. You want to push your right elbow up a little bit more away from your right hip. And then come up, push the left hand down, reach the right hand up, then turn the palm down, bend the elbow, reach your left hand up. You want to feel weight here in your left hip. Bring that top arm back a little bit, and again you have an option here to just keep that arm straight or bend the elbow and the fingertips touch the tip of your ears here as you just lean back that little bit more. And then let that left side of your body lengthen, protecting it as much as you want to by pressing in the left ribs. If you've got your hand around your ear, straighten your arm up to the ceiling and then bring your hand down. Good, then from here, lean back and bring both of your feet to the floor. Now, I want you to go here so that you're down the length of your mat with your knees bent. Bring one elbow, then the other elbow down and come into full happy baby. So bring up both of your knees, pick your head up, bring your hands to the little toe edges of your feet. Now you may find that you need something underneath the back of your head here, in particular if you feel like your chin is much higher than your forehead. So reach around for that. And again, you can have your knees pretty bent here, but eventually, possibly, if you keep doing yoga, you'll find that you can bring your knees to more of a 90-degree angle. Whatever you're doing, put a little bit of play in between pressing your hands down and pushing your feet up so that your hips engage as you stretch your glutes and your lower back. And then from here, release your feet, bring both of them down to the floor. We're going to do a lying down twist now. Pick up your right leg, cross it over the left, and pick up your bottom, move it over to the right and back down to the floor. And then as you bring the backs of your hands to the floor and your palms facing up, possibly tuck your feet up a bit more towards your bottom and drop your knees down. Now when you do this, it's a little bit like eagle pose. Keep squeezing your legs. You don't have to bring your knees down to the floor. So push your feet down so that you feel like your lower back is being protected as you push your top hip towards your feet. Relax your shoulders as much as you can. Okay, let's do the other side. So push your feet down, pick up both of your knees, use your abdominal strength, uncross your legs, bring your bottom back to center, even a little over to the left here as you pick up your left leg. Move your bottom a bit more to the left and drop your knees towards the right. And again, do this with control. Squeeze your knees, squeeze your legs, and push your top hip, your left hip, towards your feet so you get a little bit more length in that left lower back. Soften your left shoulder. If you want to, you can turn your head to the left here. I quite like to just have my head looking up to the ceiling so that I can focus more on the lower back. If you haven't, again, done yoga for a little while, you may feel a click or two happen here, which I always find quite satisfying. And from here, push your feet down to inhale and bring your knees up, uncross. We're going to do bridge pose before you come into Shavasana. So from here, walk your feet in a little bit so that your toes are pointing straight ahead. And as you press your elbows down, draw your shoulder blades towards each other. And as you inhale, pick your bottom up. Now you can stay with this, with your hands pressed to the floor or even holding onto the sides of your mat, or interlace your fingers and walk your upper arms closer to each other. Press your feet towards your hands. So again, you've got that action of toning the backs of your legs. Lift your chin, lift your hips, press your legs towards each other so you feel like your
thighs are parallel. Setu Bandha Sarvangasana, bridge pose. 3, push your hands down a little bit more. 2, open your chest. 1, release your hands, let your arms separate. Lower your bridge. Coming into Shavasana, lengthen one leg long and then the other. Let your feet turn away from each other. Find a position that feels very symmetrical. Turn your palms up. Make sure that your fingers are soft and relaxed. Close your eyes. Just a short Shavasana here. So really soften your body well, completely. Not just the muscles, but imagine you're relaxing all of your internal organs, your bones, even your heart is softening, relaxing. Just doing the work that's necessary, no more. Now bend your knees, one leg at a time, and roll over onto your right side. Turning out of Shavasana, do keep resting the root of your head on the pillow. And press down with your left hand and then your right to bring yourself up to sit cross-legged again with either leg in front. Lift up through the roof of your mouth and bring your hands into Anjali Mudra. Again, a slight squeeze in your knees. Press your feet down. And lower your chin. And release your hands and place them onto your legs. Lift your chin. Open your eyes. Namaste. Well done. I hope that has given you a nice little kickstart to go back into perhaps more complex and more advanced classes. Do have a look at my other classes. There's a playlist up here of Vinyasa classes that you might want to try where things are a little bit more fluid. And if you enjoyed this, please do go to my Patreon page and make a pledge to support this channel. All the details for that are in the link below in all the commentary and all the information on this class. Thank you. Keep doing yoga and take care.